a incoming president launch a meme coin, his wife launched a meme coin. From your side of the world, what are you seeing with what Trump is doing with Trump coin, and also on the broader lens, what's the implication of meme coin?
Trump launching a meme coin was a great onboarding mechanism to onboard new people, net new folks into crypto and into this on-chain economy. But after a few weeks, the retention of those addresses were less than 1%. So they didn't do anything else other than
How's it going, Dave?
It's going well. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for taking time for this. We've talked a lot over the last few months and closer to the date discussing about, hey, what are some key topics that people would really be interested to talk about and hear about. We'll talk about things from Coinbase to Base. We'll talk about macros. We got to talk about Trump, where people are talking about crypto. But more importantly, I want to touch on a couple of topics for people who are not in crypto right now, right? Why should they care? Or what are they missing out? So want to go through that whole 9 yards. But I want to start off with helping people understand what is Coinbase and what does Base do? What is Base about?
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to dive into all those topics. They all sound super interesting and aligns with my interests as well. That's why I'm here. But yeah, I can start with what's Coinbase and what's Base. Well, Coinbase is the largest crypto exchange in North America, at least. And what we do is we allow people to easily buy and sell crypto. So we're one of the first exchanges, if not the first, to allow folks to buy and sell Bitcoin. So that onboarded tons of people into crypto, over the past couple years and over the past decade. Bitcoin has been the fastest growing asset class ever, with insane returns. So, Coinbase kind of initially allowed folks to participate in this, global on-chain economy. So that's Coinbase. We are a publicly traded company in the States. And, we have many, many different business lines since we started off as an exchange. So, for example, we have a wallet. So that is a self-custody product that allows people to hold crypto, buy and sell and trade crypto, and do things on chain. And it's completely owned by them. We also have commerce, so you can check out with crypto in e-commerce stores in person. We also have developer platform, so Coinbase developer platform. So that is developer tooling to allow builders in the space build better apps, build better products that can bring more people into the industry. And then we have stuff like on-chain kit. I could go on and on. There's so many different business lines we have, but the one that I work in and my team is a part of is Base. So Base is Coinbase's blockchain, and essentially the way I see it, at least, is Base is going to be the future of Coinbase, and it's going to enable folks to kind of tap into this new global on-chain economy that increases creativity, innovation, and freedom. And kind of really, the way I really see it is that it's going to be the next internet, right? It's going to be a better online where, money and value is free flowing. Folks can earn better. They can earn from their creativity, and then builders, they have more superpowers. So that's Base. And then, of course, Base is incubated by Coinbase. So it started as a startup and a venture bet within Coinbase. And now it's its own product group within the company.
Yeah, I think the Coinbase product started all the way when Brian was a graduate from Y Combinator. Even before that, he was an intern at Airbnb, right? So I think that seed was planted almost 10 plus years ago. You mentioned a few keywords about, custodial wallets, protocols. I don't know if you get this question a lot. For your friends who are not in crypto, what is the best way you've found to explain to them what is a blockchain?
Yeah. Well, I explain usually what a blockchain is. It's just open, permissionless, decentralized platform. And the way I really like to frame things for them is that, what really crypto and blockchain enables is allows kind of decentralization and the removing of intermediaries and gatekeepers. So that's really how I see it. So I think there's like two aspects of this. So first, is when it comes to the financial system. Crypto and blockchains, what it essentially does is it disintermediates banks. So instead of going through gatekeepers and banks, which are, lots of times they run on legacy systems, there's high fees, delays, you can be your own bank now, and you can do whatever you want. There's no permission. You can send money anywhere in the world. It's cheap, fast, instant internet money. So that basically kind of is the future of finance. So that is crypto. And then blockchains. The other thing that it disintermediates, I think, is just the web, the internet today, right? It's owned by tons of centralized corporations that are extractive, platforms, that mine all your data. They don't pay creators well. And, it's controlled, the internet is controlled by like five or six companies right now. And they have all the power, they have all the say. They can deplatform you, they can remove your content, they could do anything with your account, right? And your followers, your content, your data, it really belongs to them, not you. So what blockchains do is it allows that to be disintermediated, right? So now there are apps where users can own their data. They can't be deplatformed on an open, global, permissionless platform like a blockchain like Base. So I think ultimately it just puts power and agency back into the hands of people. So on the financial side, folks are able to have more financial freedom. And then I think on the internet side, this new internet we're building with onchain, it's going to give people more opportunities to earn, and it's going to empower like everyday people, users, to have more ownership of their digital lives. So that's really how I see it. Crypto is enabled by blockchain. So crypto is money that moves on the blockchain. So that is really the financial side of it. And then blockchains also, unlock so many other use cases that I could go down into. But I think like the essence of it is really that. And yeah, a lot of my personal experiences led me to kind of fall into this interest. But happy to dive into that later.
Yeah, I think you've been in the space for a number of years, all the way from your early days where you were also a founder yourself, having a couple of startups. So I think that was a very interesting experience as to how you stumbled into here.
Mhm.
And one last question, just to set up the context. You lead ecosystem at Base, right? What does that encompass? What does your work involve?
So I actually am a part of the ecosystem team. I don't lead the ecosystem team. My boss, Sam, does. He is an incredible ecosystem lead, and he's been kind of nurturing the base ecosystem the past few years. For me, my focus is more on consumer, gaming, social on the base side. Um, and in terms of like my day to day, it's connecting with builders, talking with builders, supporting them, making sure they're successful in base, and also a large part of it also is helping Coinbase's efforts to bring Coinbase's products on chain. So Coinbase, as I mentioned, we have tons of business lines, we have tons of existing products. We want to move those things onto Base, so it benefits from all the efficiencies, speed, and kind of permissionless nature of a blockchain.
And as we go deeper into that topic, we have to talk about the macros, right? Naturally, the biggest thing that everybody has been talking about in the last, I would say, 3-4 weeks is of course the US inauguration, but more importantly, a incoming president launched a meme coin. His wife launched a meme coin, the Trump token, right? And I know that you guys at Base and Coinbase did some analysis on this as to was this actually a good adoption mechanism? What were the impacts of it? So maybe tell us from your side of the world, what are you seeing with what Trump is doing with Trump coin, and also on the broader lens, like what's the implication of meme coins?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I mean, all the data is public. It's on chain. Anyone can analyze the impact of Trump's token launch. And what we really saw from this public data is that Trump launching a meme coin was a great onboarding mechanism to onboard new people, net new folks into crypto and into this on-chain economy. So there were hundreds of thousands of new addresses created because they wanted to buy into the Trump meme coin and participate in the upside and kind of just ride. So it did onboard tons of new folks, but after a few weeks, after a week, the retention of those addresses were less than 1%. So they didn't do
Mm.
anything else other than buy the meme coin, sell it. A lot of folks lost money. A lot of folks made money. But after that, that was it basically. They all churned. They just bought the meme coin and they didn't explore anything else in the crypto economy or in the on-chain economy. So that was something interesting that I observed and that we observed from the public data. That meme coins in general is this spectacular tool for onboarding. I think it is something that excites people. It's something that makes headlines. People are curious about meme coins because they're like, "What is this meme token? What is this dog coin? What is this cat coin? What is this random funny meme that can just go like to the moon, as people say, right? Like it just skyrockets, and then I can just make a bunch of money." So I think meme coins is kind of a gateway and entry point for so many people into crypto because they're curious about it. Many of my normie friends, like folks who don't know what crypto is, they ask me all the time, like, "What's this meme coin? What's that meme coin?" They think crypto is just mainly about meme coins, and I do think that meme coins is one thing that has been able to kind of reach the mainstream and kind of burst through the crypto bubble. So I think meme coins in general, they're a great onboarding tool. But what we found that a lot of folks right now, they just trade meme coins, and after that, they didn't do anything else. So um, that kind of led us also to want to build more products, a better product, including Coinbase Wallet. So once folks onboard for a meme coin, and then they're done trading it, maybe they bought it and then they sold it, like what else now is there to do? Like let's say
Mm.
I made like 10x, 100x returns. What now can I do with this money I made, this crypto I made, right? What
Mm.
other things I can go do in the crypto economy? And then what are some other use cases that can benefit me? Whether it's like payments, whether it's like creator tools, whether it's DeFi, whether it's games that I can go play. There's so many things to do in crypto, but I think right now discovery is a big issue that we're seeing. So we're really taking the learnings from the Trump meme coin launch to see it as an onboarding tool. But from there on, we want to take folks, to other use cases, to more utility, to things that will actually benefit them, make their lives better, and ultimately make the world better.
Yeah, I mean that whole meme coin wave is an interesting one. And I have a slightly contrarian view, right? Because being in crypto, you hear people on the side of crypto saying that, hey, this is a great onboarding tool. We've now introduced something as sophisticated as a wallet to a few 100,000 people. On the
Mhm.
other side of the world, they'll be like, hey, how can you call this an onboarding tool when everybody recognized that some made money, some lost money? Essentially, that sounds like a lottery, right? When someone goes to buy a lottery ticket, we don't say that onboarded them into the financial world, right? So what do you think is the balanced view of meme coin here? Because crypto folks say that this is great. General public say that this could be dangerous. This is gambling. This is lottery. Like, how do we weed out the noise?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're absolutely right when it comes to meme coins being like a lottery. I think there is one side of crypto that is more focused on speculation, because what crypto and blockchains essentially allow you to do is anyone can create an app, anyone can spin up a money, a token, a coin. So when there are no gatekeepers to these things, there's going to be a lot of tokens, coins, memes being spun up. Um, and there is definitely that side of it that is kind of more speculative in nature. It is sort of like gambling, and folks should be careful. And, when they're buying a meme coin, they should know that, you're not always going to make money. You have to go into it with the mindset that you might lose everything, right? So I think that's meme coins, and they have tons of craze, they generate tons of attention. But what we are really focused on at Base and Coinbase is the utility side of crypto, right? These are things like stable coins. These are things like creator platforms. These are things like open platforms. So these are things that we really want to eventually push people towards. A lot of people are already coming into crypto due to this reason. So, for example, stable coins. I can just give some quick anecdotes here.
Yeah, of course.
The reason I got into crypto is because I grew up in Hong Kong, and my family's still in Hong Kong, right? I send money back and forth between my family, and using the traditional legacy banking system, it was so difficult. There's so much friction. So sending money back home, it takes so many business days. They take a big fee, and sometimes there's limits. Like there's weekly limits in my bank account. It's my money, but I can't do what I want with it, right? So that was really frustrating. And after discovering stable coins, such as USDC, I'm able to send money at the speed of internet, right? It's less than 1 second, it gets there. It's less than 1 cent, and then boom, I can do whatever, right? So I really think stable coins um, allows money to be global, allows money to be free flowing, and has all the benefits of like money today, but it's just like supercharged. So I think
Hmm.
that's what we want people to see. And many businesses, institutions are already adopting this in the back, and trying to reap the benefits of this technology without people even realizing it's stable coins in the back. So I mean, I'm sure you saw Stripe recently acquired Bridge for over $1 billion. Lots of companies are thinking about stablecoins as a new, better way to pay and do commerce and transact value on the internet.
It's
So,
interesting you brought up the stablecoin example
mhm.
and said the Hong Kong because my last conversation with Ray, he also told me that his eureka moment for crypto was when he was sending money in and out of Hong Kong. So
Yeah,
uh, correlation causation, but I think it's interesting that many people's first entrance and eureka moment of crypto is like, hey, this is actually borderless money. I do have sovereignty over my own funds, right? And
exactly.
I think a lot of people in crypto have a bit of this eureka moment because naturally when you first go in, there's a lot of noise, a lot of scams. I think for me, there was a couple of books and a couple of podcasts that was the eureka moment for me.
Hmm.
But one more so that just explained to me that actually money is a social construct. Just
Hmm.
that this is the most widely accepted social construct, right?
Hmm.
And with that perspective, it helps me to see currency a little bit different anymore. When you
Hmm.
go to an arcade and the shopkeeper gives you these golden tokens, right? That has value. How do you know that that has value when these are just golden tokens? When you
Hmm.
play Pokemon and you pay Nintendo $10 to get in-game credits, right? Nobody
Hmm.
says it's currency, but there's a strong enough social construct, right? And for me, like meme coins is the same. It's just a much smaller group who all believes in value in this. Just like how someone believes that the price of Mona Lisa art is like $69 million. Just like how, someone who would be paying for a shiny Charizard Pokemon card for like $5,000. So
Yeah.
I think the acceptance and understanding of crypto really makes you question all these social constructs in the world. And that was kind of like my eureka moment.
Yeah, I love that. And I think what you brought up with like, digital Pokemon, I mean, Pokemon cards, that's literally what NFTs are, right? It's like a digital Pokemon card that people can collect online, and you can prove that it's yours because the ownership of it is recorded on the blockchain and is in your address rather than, on a platform or on another game that is owned by a centralized Web2 company. So funny enough, another eureka moment that led to me going into crypto was back in high school. I used to run a sneaker blog on Instagram. It was called Sneak
Okay.
On.
Okay.
So I used to post lots of sneaker content. A lot of it was related to basketball shoes. So I'd post like samples and then like how like these brands like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour like evolved their athlete sneaker lines. I would write like a quick description as the caption and like basically giving my own take and analysis. Anyways, I grew this blog on Instagram, my Instagram page, to tens of thousands of followers,
Oh.
and I was super passionate about it. I really thought I was gonna be like a sneaker blogger
Uh-huh.
or something growing up, and I had tens of thousands of followers. And then one day I leaked like Steph Curry's new shoe coming out. So I
Hmm.
posted a picture of Steph Curry shoes. So I always would dig, kind of like how people go on crypto Twitter and then they're like reading tweets and looking
Yep.
for alpha. I'm
Yep.
always on like different websites, sneaker pages, Weibo, like a bunch of things, looking for like leaks or like samples, like behind the scenes things. So I found this Steph Curry shoe that was coming out, and then I found an image of it and I leaked it. And then, well, I didn't leak it. It was already online, but I posted on my page and I said, hey, people are saying this is a new Steph Curry shoe. And then I posted on Instagram, and then I got a flag. So I violated some guideline. I'm guessing Under Armour wasn't happy. And then I just got my
Oh,
page taken away from me.
no
So
way.
got banned, like just like that. So I got deplatformed from Instagram. I lost my page. I lost my like tens of thousands of followers. All the hard work I put into this blog, I probably had like hundreds of posts on there. If you search The Economist on Google, there's some blogs that still use a lot of my images. But
No
yeah, it was
way.
just gone. It was just taken away from me. So that was my experience of deplatforming
Yeah.
of a Web2 centralized corporation that had all the power. And me as a user, a creator, I had zero power. And also, when I had tens of thousands of followers, by the way, I made like zero money off of it. I was
Yeah.
just doing it because I was passionate.
Yeah.
But what crypto and blockchains enable is now you can build on open platforms and apps on these open platforms. So, example is like Zora or Farcaster. You can post on Zora, and your posts are in your own wallet, right? These things that you create, they belong to you, and they can never deplatform you. They can't kick you off, and you're able to freely move your following, your social graph, your posts across platforms, as long as it's on the blockchain, right? And I'm sure developers have a lot of this experience too. For example, I know back in the day, a lot of people were building on top of Facebook. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people were building on top of Twitter's open APIs. But then they crowded people out. They closed it. They shut it down, and people lost their businesses that were like mini games or mini apps
Mm.
on top
Yep.
of Facebook. Well, this is an issue in crypto or in blockchains, right? If you build on Base, you will never get deplatformed, right? You can build anything you want on Base. Another recent example is Telegram, right? They had, folks are building on Telegram, mini games, mini apps, and then they put out the Ton blockchain, and now it's like, okay, you can only build on Ton. So that's another example of a closed platform that's
Mm.
not friendly to developers, builders, or creators. So I think another eureka moment, one is the financial side, like I mentioned earlier. I can really do whatever I want with the money that's mine, which is, it seems like a fundamental human right, but in
Mm.
reality, it's not. The other is like actually owning my digital life, right? My digital content, my digital reputation, because increasingly I think we live online, and that's so important. Like your online reputation and your social graph and your network, if they can just deplatform you and they can just like take that away from you, I think that does just as much damage as financial, right? Like if they take away your money. So I think those two things ultimately lead to more freedom. And, I'm a big advocate for freedom. So that was like, I think those two things combined was just like, all right, I think
Yeah.
this, like crypto's for me.
That is so interesting. A couple of points, right? I mean, you mentioned that your online identity is almost as valuable as financial, which is true right now. Like someone's credibility, your LinkedIn profile is more valuable than an Instagram profile. Some would say, right? Your whole job, your career is there. Um, you brought up about sneakers, which was a really interesting point because I remember reading a report where the earliest users of people who would buy and sell NFTs, people who would come into tokens, were all people who bought and sold sneakers. And that's
Yeah,
because,
I was a sneaker flipper, man. I was hustling back in the day.
and those same people came on and flipped NFTs because the psychology was the same. The mechanism was the same. And that's why we mentioned earlier, right? It's all a social construct, just whether you see from a 10,000 foot view or like, you're at 10 meters away and you can't see there's a social construct, right? But that was so interesting because I have also met a couple of folks who came in from the sneaker world. And I mean, you even had a blog. So you really, really resonated and believed in this mission. And I guess I can see how, just like what Steve Jobs said, right? Looking back, all the dots connected for you.
Yeah,
We talked a lot about how
absolutely.
things are like in the scene, how we came to know about this scene. And maybe because we're in the space, things become a little bit clearer to us. But for people outside the space, with the stigma and all the noise that's happening, it gets a bit difficult to really get onboarded psychologically or from a knowledge perspective, right? I think internally we've seen a couple of big moves. The last 12 months has probably been, this whole push for institutional adoption. We see JP Morgan, Citibank, Goldman all coming in. We see ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETF. These are large institutional plays as to how they want to start financializing crypto. What do you
Mhm.
think are some of the things that you're seeing from your point of view that are like big tectonic shifts that will become big in the next 5 years, but someone on the street right now just is oblivious to it?
Yeah, of course. I think crypto as an industry and as an asset class will continue to grow, and it's going to be undeniable. So, I mean, this year, Bitcoin hit 100K, right? Like, imagine a few years ago, that would be unthinkable. So, I think that's going to continue to kind of drive interest and eyeballs. But I do think that price is a lagging indicator of what
Mm,
we're building and the innovation we have in the industry. But price is what gets folks interested in the first place, right? Like even with NFTs back in the day, like when a JPEG went to like hundreds of thousands of dollars, well, that's what got people excited. So I do think that price will continue to bring talent in, and then it's going to help them discover the tech and discover actually use cases to make them stay in the industry and build for the long term. So I think Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, all these assets are going to continue to go, continue to grow, and then that's going to drive more and more interest. I mean, crypto, I think, already became a $4 trillion asset class um, at the end of last year. So that's nothing. That's nothing small, right? That's something to be like very proud and excited about. Given that the industry is so young, right? It started after the financial crisis in 2008 when the banks collapsed, right? And then Satoshi put out his white paper for Bitcoin
mm,
and basically proposed a new system where things like that weren't going to happen, right? Because you didn't have to trust these banks anymore and these institutions. Instead, you could just trust code and do things in a peer-to-peer way. So
mhm,
I think that the industry is going to continue to grow, and that's going to drive people to want to learn more about it and to be like, how can I get involved? The second thing, I think, it's super clear for everyone in the industry, but it's stable coins, right? I think stable coins will be like the future of internet money. It's going to be the future of money. Not just USDC, but local stable coins too. So, stable coins for example, Hong Kong dollar stable coin, for example, all these different stable coins that cater to the local regions that is familiar to them, and they can come on chain in a way that they're familiar with. So stable coins as well, I think, is like a 200 billion dollar kind of asset. So that's going to continue to grow, and I think that's going to power lots of internet payments, commerce, transactions, and I think it's going to be in a way that's abstracted to the everyday person. So they might reap the benefits of a global, cheap, fast stablecoin, but to them it might just feel like they're doing a normal transaction online.
mm.
I think it's going to power the back end of many many experiences.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And we've talked about how it's like being a retail user in the space. If
Mm-hmm.
we shift the lens to what's like to be a builder in the space, people know that there are many L1s, layer ones, there are many L2s, there are L3s. What are some factors people should consider in terms of choosing a protocol? And of course, the big question is like, how do they decide that the base is where they want to build their product, launch a company?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, we spoke about crypto and blockchains earlier. Once you get into space or you're trying to like learn more about it, you'll learn that there's many blockchains, right? And they
Mm,
all have different visions for the world and different cultures. And I think you really just want to build on a blockchain that is number one, decentralized. So it's truly owned by the people and the builders, not by just another company. So that is an important factor. And then I think the other factors would be like, ease of building on this platform. Like, how easy is it? Is there tooling? So this is from a developer's perspective, right?
yep.
Is there tooling? So for example, on Base, we have, on-chain kit, ready-made components. We have Smart Wallet, allows people to easily onboard to apps. We have Paymaster. We can abstract gas away. So it feels like a Web2 UX. Um,
Mm,
and then we have so many other things like base names, identities, verification. We now support privacy protocols on Base. So we have all this tooling that makes it a very, very good developer experience. So if you are a builder coming to Space, I think Base is a good place because you have everything you need all in one place for you to build. So once you have that, the second part of it is like, okay, now I'm building something. How do I get users, people to come use my app that I've built on
Yep.
chain, right? And I think this is really where Base shines as well, because we have the Coinbase distribution and Coinbase wallet distribution. And I think out of all the L2s and blockchains out there right now, Base has the most active users, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have millions of active users daily. You can find this data on chain publicly, but we have not only tons of users on Base, but we also have hundreds of millions of users on the Coinbase exchange platform that have never done anything on chain, right? They've just bought and sold crypto and they hold it on Coinbase. So we're going to allow your product to reach that group. And we also have Coinbase Wallet with millions of users, right? So I'm not sure if you heard the news, but Base and Coinbase Wallet just became under the same product group and under the same team now. So
Mm-hmm.
the Base team and the Coinbase Wallet team were one team. And what we really see is, and what we really believe, and what I think is Coinbase Wallet is going to serve as that distribution for Base apps as well. So people who use all the amazing tooling on Base and build something awesome, we're going to put that in front of the most crypto native on chain people, which usually are folks that use wallet instead of exchange. And we're going to make it so easy to discover those apps. We're going to also make it easy to pay people. We're also going to make it easy to have like a social feed to message folks, but it's going to be like an App Store super app, which is going to be the new Coinbase wallet that we're going to be evolving. So I think that is the second half of the puzzle. It's like when I build something, will people use it?
Yep.
And you know, if you build on Base, because of our distribution and our users, we're gonna make sure you go viral. We want to make builders viral. That's one of our mission statements this year. Help builders, creators, coin launchers go viral by connecting them to Coinbase wallet users, and then also eventually Coinbase users. Because these people, once they buy a meme coin, they want to do more as well. But
Yep.
oftentimes there's not easy ways. So
Yep.
we're going to be building wallet in a way that, you know, however they onboard, there's going to be an app store and an easy way for them to go check out all the other cool things like, you know, Gambit, for example, like Poc, even like infrastructure like Failsafe. There's going to be easy ways for them to discover it directly within the app that they're already using, whatever they're using crypto for. It's just going to be super easy for builders to get distribution.
And even I saw a bold mission that you guys publicized, like 25 million users and 100 billion AUM onboarded in 2025. So I think that's like, the big, hairy, audacious goal that everybody goes and runs towards. I have
Mm-hmm.
one final question, and this is the $1 million question for people who are already on Base, building on Base.
Mm-hmm.
For them to hear it directly from Dave, who leads ecosystem at Base, what does it take to go viral in crypto?
Yeah, I would say to build viral products right now, from what we're seeing, and from a few case studies, is that you really want to be building. It depends on what product, first of all, but I think when it comes to like more consumer-facing products, you know, that are catered towards everyday people, for normies, for people that aren't that experienced, or like DeFi traders or folks in the trenches trading meme coins. For example, if you're building a game, if you're building like a social experience, if you're just building a fun app, I think what we've seen is the power of tapping into a shared on-chain social graph that we can all build on, that no one can deplatform you on, that we can easily, you know, find attributions to. You know, everything that you've done on chain is there. So I think building on a shared on-chain social graph is really a big unlock, and this is why we announced on Tuesday that we are partnering with Farcaster and leveraging their social graph in Coinbase Wallet. So what this does is when you build on a shared on-chain social graph, you can directly tap into the on-chain distribution that is already there. So a good example is a game called Farcade. They are a Farcaster and Base native game, and basically they built a Frame V2, which is a mini app within Farcaster, and immediately they were able to reach the hundreds of thousands of Farcaster users directly within the app. And I think the cool thing with this shared on-chain social graph is it can show up in multiple platforms. So it can show up in Warpcast, it can show up in Coinbase Wallet, it can show up in multiple different clients that many people use, right? And these mini apps, they show up in social feeds, they show up as a tab. They're really, really flexible and very, very like there's many. They're like Lego blocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing is they meet people where they are directly in their feeds, directly in their app, and they're composable. So I think Farcade is a good case study that leverages this social graph to get distribution. So obviously, there's ways to get distribution as well. For example, on Twitter, on many different other social platforms for amplification. But I think an organic grassroots way is to directly go direct to all the most crypto
Mm-hmm.
native users. Um, and then increasingly, as these clients like Coinbase Wallet onboard more normies and more people who have not experienced crypto before into their clients, they're also going to be able to easily discover these frames or mini apps that are built on these social graphs. Because I do see that many more user facing wallets, clients integrating this social graph, and basically there's going to be many entry points to it. So I think as an app, you want to be position yourself to be on there, and building a frame and mini app is super easy because if you have a web app that's existing, it's just a couple of modifications to make it a mini app that is in a frame that lives on top of Farcaster. So I would say that is a good way to go viral.
Yeah.
And we're seeing many more like Clanker, for example, Banker is another one. And then there's also apps like Anoncast. They're all like native to Farcaster, right? And Bracket. And then they've been able to go direct to all of these users on Farcaster. And now they're going to get Coinbase Wallet distribution as well. And as more and more folks build on this social graph, we're just going to be able to have
Continue
organic.
enriching it and really hit this like network effects.
Exactly.
I think the best way I can kind of summarize why base, right, is because it's very holistic. And just like the analogy of a restaurant, you want good food, but you want good service, you want cleanliness, you want good music, good ambience, friendly waiters, good cash payments, right? So I would say base and the base ecosystem is probably one of the most holistic and comprehensive restaurants because
Mm.
all of those small things all affect the dining experience, right? So even when I speak to other creators, other builders, that's kind of like my best way of encapsulating it. Thank you so much, Dave, for jumping on. I know it's late all the way from Vancouver, but I'm really happy we dived into the macros. We dive into why both of us came into crypto, how it became personal for us, and of course, more importantly, for people who want to build, what does it take to go viral? What does it take, to create something meaningful in the space? So, thank you so much for taking time off, Dave, and I hope to chat with you soon.
Yeah. I had so much fun. Thanks for this interview. I appreciate you and hope to continue working and building together. I'll see you around.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Thank you.